Zombies. I always get you don't post enough zombie content. Jimmy, why not? Well, here you go, everybody. Welcome to the page, Jimmy or Chaos. Zombies has been a massive part of Call of Duty ever since it was the surprise shock of it when we were able to get it in World at War. Every Zombies map offers a unique experience, and today, we're going to do the impossible. Now remember, this is an outside Zombies fan looking in, so you keep that in mind. Don't be too critical of me here. I'm going to give you my personal ranking of every single Zombies map from World at War all the way to Vanguard. Yep, this is going to be fun. It'll be a two-part episode since there's 50 Zombies maps. Let me know what you think of the ranking. Drop a like. And guys, if you're not following me on Twitter, you are missing out on a ton. It is almost December where I do a giveaway every single day. We're giving away stuff all the time over on my Twitter. You need to get over there and get involved. There's an Xbox Series S giveaway right now as we speak. So, we're going to start off with number 50. And hopefully I pronounce all these right because some of these... Okay. Derising and Vanguard, okay? Yeah. Coming in at dead last. The launch map from COD Vanguard. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not going to come as a shocker to any of you because Vanguard Zombies has not exactly been received very well for how different it is and just about everything else in Zombies history. I watched Noah's launch stream on it. It was rough. Not only is this one different, it's kind of bad. Very basic, very repetitive, no replay value, and the difficulty spike was way too strong. Did I mention you couldn't even pause it when it first came out? I mean, is that fixed yet? I don't know. It's been getting a ton of heat since Vanguard came out, and all justified. I think it's a bad map. At number 49, Nuketown Zombies Black Ops 2? Now, when it was announced that Nuketown was being turned into a Zombies map, the world rejoiced. Well, the problem is, in the question itself, what went wrong? Nuketown just wasn't designed for zombies. It's a multiplayer map through and through, and it didn't work. Small, way too random, but still way too repetitive, and the whole experience felt weird. It didn't feel like zombies. It felt like somebody modded Nuketown with some zombie CPUs, and it didn't flow very well. I mean, putting zombies on a fan-favorite multiplayer map sounds like a great idea, but Nuketown Zombies, I think it was probably one of the bigger disappointments in COD history. At number 48, Green Run, Black Ops 2. The infamous transit map. There's a million reasons why people hated it. Weird, overcomplicated, art style wasn't everybody's favorite, wonder weapons were underwhelming, whole bus system made the flow really weird and hard to get into. The individual maps of Green Run are pretty fun on their own, but the map as a whole, it's one of the most hated in the entire community. I've got to take that into account for this list. I do. Transit is still hated by the Zombies community to this day, and Green Run, well, it's going to take the fall for that. At number 47, Derising Black Ops 2. 3 Black Ops 2 maps in a row. I know, I'm sorry. Despite being such a beloved game, it had some pretty bad Zombies maps at first. Derising is often called one of the worst. Boring map, I mean, all the waiting around you had to do, random perks that didn't help anything. It either felt boring or random, and those two things you don't really want together tied into a Zombies map. There's always going to be a little bit of boredom, a little bit of randomness, but Derising felt too random, too boring, which made it super frustrating to play. I may get some heat for listing so many Black Ops 2 maps in a row, but I got to get them out of the way, right? I think most people will agree with me on this, I hope. At number 46, The Darkest Shore, COD World War II. Hopefully people agree with me. This is one of the worst Sledgehammer maps we've ever gotten for zombies. It just didn't have content. Very basic map, not a whole lot going on. Now, a simple map can be fun like the World at War maps, but The Darkest Shore, it felt too simple. Like something was almost missing. There was also a mechanic where zombies couldn't see you in the fog as long as you didn't fire a gun, but then there were certain zombies that could see you through the fog, which forced you to fire a gun regardless, and it completely killed the appeal of the whole gimmick. I just don't think it was a very fun map. At number 45, Infection in Advanced Warfare. Exo Zombies wasn't received well by everybody. Some people loved it, but of all the maps, I think this is the one people hated most. Second map, chronologically, had some fun Easter eggs like the stuff with Burger Town, but the map itself just wasn't very good. The gameplay of Exo Zombies, well, it didn't work really well here. Now, I'll admit, some of the Exo Zombies maps were surprisingly good and pretty underrated, but Infection wasn't it. It looked nice, had some fun references, didn't play well, and understand we're going worst to best, so it is going to get better, my friends. At number 44, The Tortured Path, World War II, COD World War II. Now, COD World War II took a lot of heat for its zombies mode. I don't think all the criticism was fair. I will agree, though, the Tortured Path was pretty bad. Unlike the other maps in the game, it had you completing random objectives every few waves, and it not only destroyed the flow of the game, but it also added way too much randomness and punishment to the mix. The challenges were randomized, so you could never be prepared for the right one, and if you failed a challenge, you failed the mission altogether, which was kind of stupid. This map was complicated, it was random, it was just weird. At number 43, I don't even know how to say this. Zetsubou Noshima? I don't know. Black Ops 3. Unacceptable when it launched. There. We'll call it the Z map. There's so many bugs with this map, and a lot of them have been fixed, but there's still plenty of others sitting out there waiting to be stumbled upon, I'm sure. The map, when it's working as intended, it's okay, but more often than not, you see technical issues here that could get super frustrating. Now, it's hard to judge a map that barely works, but here we are in 2021. Welcome. At number 42, Shinonuma, World at War. Now, it may be sacrilegious to put one of the OG maps so low on the list, but I have to, and I have to cut Treyarch some slack also, because this was the first time they ever made something like this, but Shinonuma was hilariously easy, which is why the solo world record is currently at 10,000 rounds. I'm serious. Very nostalgic map. I know a lot of people love the simplicity of the old school maps, but come on. This one was a little too old school. Once you got the Wonder Weapon, you were basically unbeatable. Zombies should have a little more challenge to it. That's why it's so low on the list. At number 41, Varuk, World at War. Now, this is a similar situation to Shinonuma. Now, this one was a lot of fun back in the day, but it hasn't aged super well, and it doesn't really hold up to what zombies could eventually become. Some of the World at War and Black Ops 1 maps hold up today. Then there's others that don't. They were just too on the simple side. This one had annoying elements that could get on your nerves and was likely the product of Treyarch essentially making things up as they were going because they were still developing the mode. I never expected zombies to be so popular. It's fun, I mean, in the nostalgia factor way, but it's never going to be anybody's first choice of a map when they're going to replay with their friends. At number 45, Black Ops 1. Everybody remembers the map for being the one where you play as freaking JFK and Fidel Castro while fighting zombies in the Pentagon. That's awesome. I mean, how could you not love it? The theming of the map was genius, and the attention to detail is amazing, but a lot of the community will agree that the gameplay leaves a little bit to be desired. The map itself is basic, straightforward, which is fun for some people, but most zombies players want something more. I mean, it's definitely fun to mess around with and a great map for casual players, but if you're looking for that true core COD Zombies experience, I think it leaves a little to be desired. At number 39, Revelations in Black Ops 3, the final map of Black Ops 3. Could have been a lot better. Story-wise, pretty important map for the zombies community, but in terms of gameplay, I don't know. I don't think it was anybody's favorite. A lot of things wrong here. Not a whole lot right. The map was designed to be the big finale for Black Ops 3, so Treyarch threw a whole lot of stuff at the wall, and that did provide for some exciting times, but it also felt overcomplicated, and a lot of zombies players really just went through it so they could see how the story ended. It's not nearly as bad as some other maps, and I think I may be a little too hard on it for the sake of this list, but here it is. As the finale of Black Ops 3, I think it could have been better. At number 38, Buried. Black Ops 2. Decent map, all things considered, but one thing the community often criticizes is how easy it was. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it was really easy, and you were doing challenges for it. Get the highest rounds out of all your friends, which kind of kills the appeal, right? Buried had a decent layout, some cool story elements, but the gameplay was too easy, and that kind of made it boring to play on. It was better than everything else I've mentioned so far, but it wasn't a huge standout for most players. I think this is a fair spot. At number 37, Call of the Dead, Black Ops 1. Now, Call of the Dead was pretty awesome because it featured George A. Romero as the main character, and if you don't know who that is, you owe him an apology because he's the guy that made Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. He's pretty much the guy who created zombies as we know them in movies and video games today. The fact that he got to play such a major part in a COD Zombies map was awesome, but it's kind of a bummer that most people don't think too highly of the map. Call of the Dead looked awesome, filled with Easter eggs, but it's more of a fun scavenger hunt. The gameplay just wasn't as interesting. It's not a very replayable map. It's nice for references, but the gameplay is just okay. At number 36, Voyage of Despair, Black Ops 4. Now, it had some awesome art design. The story was actually interesting too, but the map, little hit or miss. Now, I love the setting, I love the characters, but how much you enjoy a map really comes down to how much you enjoyed Black Ops 4. If you didn't like Black Ops 4 Zombies, you're probably going to hate this map. If you did like it, you probably thought it was okay. It embraced Black Ops 4's mechanics, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it did turn some players off, so I'm taking that into account, and I think number 36 is a fair spot. At number 35, Shadows of Evil in Black Ops 3. Divisive map to say the least because of the craziness of the enemies and sometimes obnoxious ways you can kill yourself. Once Shadows is up and running, it's a decent map, but it took a little work to get there, if that makes sense. Every Zombies map requires a little bit of setup time before you really get into the groove of things, and Shadows of Evil took a long time to just get going for my taste. Solid map, just about everything on the list going forward is going to be good, but it had some decent flaws, and I think it belongs somewhere around here. At number 34, Moon in Black Ops 1. I know I'm going to catch heat for this one, but yeah, pretty divisive. When you ask the COD community how they feel about it, half of them are going to respond that it's an iconic map with some awesome mechanics. The other half is going to say, well, it's an annoying map, but I can see where people are coming from when they say they don't like it. Some of the mechanics and enemy types are annoying to deal with, but I can't rank it too low because I think the map is cool. The setting was awesome, and there's some really good parts to it. At number 33, Forsaken in Black Ops Cold War. Released with the Season 6 of Cold War, it was a secret facility blended in with the rest of the Zombies maps. Cold War Zombies started out strong. Forsaken, I mean, it just kind of felt basic in comparison. Everything it did, we've seen before in previous maps, so that was a little downer. Fun map to grind, mess around with, but I don't think it's anybody's go-to map in Cold War. I mean, you could correct me in the comments if you disagree, but I don't really see anything special about it. It functioned well, it just wasn't special. At number 32, no clue how to say this map. Groston Haas? COD World War II? The G map. Mainly known as a multiplayer map in the game because a little ways into COD's World War II cycle, Sledgehammer released it as a free bonus map for multiplayer, which I thought that was cool. It played well in 6v6 multiplayer, but in Zombies, kind of middle of the road. There wasn't a lot to say about it. It was pretty simple, and I don't really know what else to say about it. You can see the appeal of it, I guess, but I personally think it worked better as a multiplayer map than a Zombies map. At number 31, Dead of the Night, Black Ops 4. Raise your hand, or no, wait. Am I the only one who got major Clue vibes from this map? Raise your hand. Yes? No? Oh. Anyway, featured a new cast with a handful of new weapons, enemy types to shake it up. Also took place in the year 1912, so you had some fun visuals to work with. I thought Dead of the Night was pretty fun. It wasn't as good as some of the other Black Ops 4 maps, but I'm going to compromise here. It was fun compared to the rest of the maps in the game, but it could have been better. Black Ops 4 had some really good Zombies maps, so Dead of the Night maybe a tad better to stand up to them? I don't know. At number 30, Shangri-La, Black Ops 1, also known as Paradise. Released with the Annihilation DLC for the original Black Ops, takes place in the Himalayan mountains, which was cool. It also introduced a lot of things to the gameplay formula, traps, specialty zombies. The Wonder Weapon was pretty awesome, and you would need it at certain points because there was choke points where you could get yourself cornered and killed rather quickly. Shangri-La introduced a lot of great things to the Zombies formula, but it never, I don't think it was the go-to map for the community. I don't know. It's a good map for sure, but I think compared to everything else, it belongs right here. Remember, there's a lot of maps, so this is a pretty good placement. At number 29, Outbreak in Advanced Warfare, the first Exo Zombies map. Now, Outbreak took elements of the multiplayer map Biolab and expanded them to make an interesting experience that turned a lot of people off to the mode as well, but a lot more people on than people realize. I think people wrote the map off because they weren't thrilled about Exo Zombies as a whole, but if you're willing to go with it, it's pretty cool. Now, I wasn't big on Exo Zombies, but I'm being fair. It plays well for what it's trying to be, and while that may not be your cup of tea, it was still a decent map. Those who liked Exo Zombies, probably they're with me on this one. At number 28, The Beast from Beyond in Infinite Warfare. IW had surprisingly really good zombie maps, but this was probably the weakest. Granted, it's still at a pretty respectable spot on the list, but compared to other IW maps, it bizarrely borrowed some elements from Extinction Mode from COD Ghost, but made them a little better, and it was a nice little callback for Infinity Ward if you ask me. The map itself was solid, but compared to other ones, tad on the weak side. Dropped it down a few pegs. At number 27, Carrier in Advanced Warfare. Released as part of the Supremacy DLC, had a lot of new content for Exo Zombies. Pretty decent map. Layout was similar to Varuk from World at War in the sense you were divided into two areas, meaning you couldn't always rely on your teammates to bail you out, and I think that added an extra tension and flavor to the experience. Pretty fun map. One of the better Exo Zombies maps, if you ask me. I think so. At number 26, The Giant in Black Ops 3. It was a remake of Derising, which I haven't actually gotten to yet because, spoiler alert, it's ranked really high. So how does The Giant compare to the classic? It's a mixed bag. Now, the changes to art style and the updated weapon selection were fun. Wasn't nearly as good as the original. With that being said, the original already had an amazing layout and super addicting formula, right? Giant was just a weird experience because it was good, but it didn't do anything better than the original. Instead, it was either the same or worse aside from the graphics, of course. The Giant was a little bit of a disappointment to the Zombies movie, but a really, really good map. And at number 25, Alpha Omega, Black Ops 4, the 7th Black Ops 4 map. Now, it seems to either be completely forgotten by the zombies community or completely adored, which is kind of weird. Those who remember it seem to love it, but there's also a big portion of the community that forgot it even exists. I mean, it takes place on an expanded version of Nuketown, but thankfully, it's way better than Nuketown Zombies from Black Ops 2. It also introduced us to the Lightning Hounds, the Jolting Jacks, and the Nova 6 Bombers. Layout? Solid. There were some hidden details. The gameplay was pretty good. Overall, I don't think it was amazing, but it was definitely worthy of a shout out because more people should remember it. It's a solid map. And also, worthy of a shout out, guys, if you are in the market for a custom gaming PC or gaming laptop, Apex Gaming PCs, absolutely use code Chaos, get yourself a discount. Check out the Chaos DEFCON line. That's right. Team Chaos has their own custom line of PCs. The link is at the top of the description. If any of you get one, please let me know. I mean, message me, hit me in my business email, hit me up on Twitter so I can show you guys some love as well. I mean, so many people have hit me up that got one with the Chaos code or got a Chaos DEFCON PC, which is absolutely humbling. So, big shout out to you guys. Take advantage. At number 24, The Frozen Dawn, COD World War II. Story was a little bit lacking, but a lot of people think the Frozen Dawn is the best map in COD World War II's entire zombies mode, and I get it. The Wonder Weapon was pretty cool. The map itself was laid out well, plus it's absolutely beautiful to look at. COD World War II doesn't get enough credit for the graphics art design. I really don't think so. I think the Frozen Dawn was a huge step up, most over all the other World War II maps. Easily one of the best Sledgehammer maps ever put into a zombies experience, if you ask me. At number 23, Blood of the Dead, Black Ops 4. The reimagining of Mob of the Dead. Definite step backwards from that fan favorite, but it was a fun experience. Blood of the Dead was the third map in Black Ops 4, and it brought back the old Black Ops 2 crew for you to play as. Like I said, the layout was a bit of a reimagining of the original, but the story was a sequel to the Black Ops 2 classic, which made it a hard-hitting dose of nostalgia. Blood of the Dead featured lots of guns, lots of bonuses. Wasn't quite as good as the original, but it still had a lot of what made the first one so good, which made it fun in its own right. For new zombie players, it was a great introduction to classic Treyarch zombies, honestly. And for older players, like I said, it was a nice little nostalgic callback. At number 22, Garage Crovey, Black Ops 3. Now, the Easter egg was criticized here due to how tedious it could get, but the map itself, ton of fun. Lots of great fan service. It was a crazy map. I mean, we had dragons, we had castles, all kinds of stuff. The return of the PPSH-41, even mounted MG-42s, which was kind of cool. It was a nice change of pace for Black Ops 3. People were worried about this map. They were worried it was going to be a little too crazy when we first saw the trailers, but I think it ended up being a pretty popular map. At number 21, Classified in Black Ops 4. A reimagining of the map 5, which I may have angered some people off in the other video where I ranked it. I apologize. I think it was a genius concept, but the map itself, to me, was just okay. But Classified takes the original layout, adjusts it a little bit, expands upon it in a lot of regards, and I think it did it in a better way. Yes, I mean, it doesn't have as good of theming, but the layout was excellent, and if someone were to mod Classified to have all the Black Ops 1 character models and voice lines, I think that would be the absolute best way to experience. Once again, that's just my opinion. At number 20, Shaolin Shuffle Infinite Warfare. Very fast-paced, very intense, super fun. Practically any zombies player could get into this map. The Easter egg was a little on the simple side, but just about everything on the map was pretty fun. Had some really funny elements to it. The combat was pretty rewarding thanks to all the different enemy types and the map advantages out there. I think Shuffle was an underrated map. I think it's more than worthy of being listed this high. I mean, if you haven't tried it, give it a shot. At number 19, The Final Reich, COD World War II. Now, I was one of the many people disappointed at how reliant this map was on jump scares instead of actual creepiness, but with that being said, I think it was still a good map. I think it got a little too much heat when it first came out. It had some really good mechanics. I know it felt like a bit of a left turn for Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare at that time, but it did have a lot going for it. The layout was solid, weapons were good, plus the design of the zombies was really good, and I personally love the more gritty vibe that Sledgehammer was going for in COD World War II. I think that this one got a little too much heat when it came out because it was such a massive change from the last few COD Zombies games, but if you go back with an open mind today, hindsight's 2020. At number 18, Malware Der Toten in Black Ops Cold War. Very cool setting. The Berlin Wall. Really cool to see this landmark reimagined as the victim of a zombie outbreak in the map. It played good. Featured a lot of the best elements of Cold War zombies, while also incorporating some old school elements like the art design and the level design. Now, there was also a lot of great Easter eggs here, with a couple referencing World at War and the Voyage of Despair, which I can appreciate. Toten was a good map, if not a tad forgettable compared to some of the other Cold War maps that we'll talk about later, but a good map. At number 17, Descent in Advanced Warfare. You may be shocked to see an Exo Zombies ranked so high, but I thought it was really good, and the AW community almost unanimously considered it to be the best of the bunch. Not only did this map introduce us to the blunderbuss, but it also took place in an underwater facility, which was a really cool choice for a zombies map if you ask me. You had to wander through the facility hunting for Oz, which was the main villain of the Exo Zombie storyline. I thought he did really good. A lot of people didn't like how Exo Zombies played so differently from traditional zombies, but Descent felt like it was a best of the both worlds. It really did. I thought it was a good map. At number 16. Remember, we started with 50, okay? 16 is solid. Zombies in Spaceland, Infinite Warfare. This map shouldn't have been as good as it was. It launched with IW, and people were initially critical of the colorful, goofy vibe in the map itself. It was great. I'd say 9 out of 10. It was fun. It was addicting. It was rewarding. It was super replayable. If there's anything you could want from a zombies map, it was there. I know some people didn't like Infinite Warfare Zombies for the change in art style, but a lot of people didn't give this game a chance at all. And Zombies in Spaceland, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. At number 15, Die Machine, Black Ops Cold War. Massive change to the zombies formula. Surprisingly, it worked. The game was a bit more grindy, but still objective driven, which worked. You had more control over your weapons. You had more control how you could progress them, but it did feel like a Treyarch Zombies map with all the different routes and the enemy types that you could go blast through. That's all I really have to say about it. I thought it was a pretty solid map. And speaking of Cold War, at number 14, Firebase Z, Black Ops Cold War. It caused a lot of conversation when it was building up to launch last year. And while Black Ops Cold War wasn't received super well for the multiplayer community, the Zombies was eating pretty well. Firebase Z had a lot of great elements. Really tough to decide if it belonged above or below Die Machine, but here it is. Good mechanics, assault and defense rounds, made it where you're going for high rounds. It was satisfying. Personally, I was excited to see what Treyarch does in their next game because Cold War had some good ideas. And they had less than a year to slap this thing together. Just think what they could do if they had a full development cycle. At number 13, Tag der Toten. Tag der Toten. Black Ops 4. Some people call this one of the best Treyarch maps ever made. I'll leave that up to you guys. Final Zombies map, Black Ops 4. A lot of people missed it, but if you managed to play it, you probably had fun. Launched in September of 2019, grand finale to the storyline, as well as a reimagining of the Call of the Dead map from Black Ops 1. Personally, I think Tag was an all-around improvement over the original map, even if it didn't have George A. Romero making an appearance. Weapons, amazing. I mean, there was a couple brand new ones to shake it up. I think it was a good conclusion to the storyline and a great way to wrap up Black Ops 4 Zombies. At number 12, Rave in the Redwoods IW. Setup, little slow, but incredibly fun once you got it up and running. Compared to the other Infinite Warfare maps, I think Rave seemed to be designed for longer sessions and higher rounds, but it worked really well in its favor because it rewarded you for sticking with it. The wonder weapons were amazing. The Easter egg was super satisfying, and if you have a few hours to spare, go give it a run. At number 11, Ancient Evil and Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 had some awesome theming with its zombie maps. I mean, we can all agree on that, right? Had you fighting zombies in Greece in the early 1900s? That was cool. Amazing sights, plenty of great references to Greek mythology, which I absolutely love. The visuals here don't nearly get enough credit as the colors they popped. It made the combat feel more impactful. Plus, the enemy design, it was awesome. They blended classic zombies with Greek mythology and imagery to create this truly unique experience. I don't think Black Ops 4 gets enough credit for stuff like that. Ancient Evil was a really cool map. At number 10, Attack of the Radioactive Thing Infinite Warfare. Now, the wonder weapon was underwhelming. Just about everything else on the map, fantastic. It carried the Infinite Warfare's goofy aesthetic and it introduced you to a ton of great new enemy types and side challenges. They felt productive. They didn't just feel like you were doing them to do it, like you were working towards something that mattered instead of just grinding bonus stuff. The map had some good comedy to it too. Plenty of fun references to classic horror B movies. I mean, you could dislike the video if you want. It won't show up as a dislike anymore, but I think the map is deserving of this high of a spot. I do. At number 9, the Shadowed Throne COD World War II. I've had some really nice things to say about World War II Zombies maps today, but ultimately, I think the Shadowed Throne was the best, and browsing Reddit seems to reveal that most of the community liked it. Had a really cool Easter egg, had a really good story, had some really good atmosphere, had really good gameplay. It had all the best parts of COD World War II Zombies mixed together in this big pot, but since a lot of people gave up on the game before the DLC was finished, you may have missed it. Give it a shot if you haven't before, because you're probably going to like this one more than you expected. At number 8, Ascension in Black Ops 1. I think this is the zombie map I got the most hours in. Has to be one of the most beloved maps in COD Zombies. First DLC map, released for the original Black Ops. Super popular. Popular enough to get it remade in Chronicles, the expansion for Black Ops 3. Set on a Soviet cosmodrome and feature one of the best cast characters we've ever had in Zombies. I mean, come on. This was also the map that introduced us to Stamin' Up and PhD Flopper, two fan favorite perks that have returned many times. The vibe of the map was awesome. The layout, fantastic. And that was all topped off with a cherry on the top with a great soundtrack. One of the best of all time. At number 7, 9. Black Ops 4, no shock. Easily the best map in Black Ops 4. Definitely a top 10 map overall if you ask me. And it was second in chronological order in the game. And in terms of the style and the setting, it stood out. The map was set in a gladiatorial arena. I love gladiators. It had you fighting hundreds and hundreds of zombies for a live crowd while the map itself was simple. And I think that simplicity was what made it so addicting. The weapons, the art style, it was great. I think a gladiator arena has to be one of the most unique ideas for zombies we've ever gotten. I adored this map. At number 6, Nuketown World at War. This is where it started. Holds up super well to this day. I mean, the vibes, come on, the scares, as well as how simple it was, but how addicting it was. Everything you know and love about zombies started right here, and unlike other World at War maps, it still plays good when you go back for a modern perspective. The zombies were great, the layout was great, the power-ups are great. I know it's primitive to modern audiences, but you'll lose hours and hours of your life playing it over and over again trying to hit that high round. There's a reason Zombies mode got so popular. This is the reason. At number 5, Origins in Black Ops 2. It's one of the most iconic maps in Zombies history. It brings you back to the First World War, alternate timeline. Basically, Treyarch's answered all the criticism of the launch zombie maps, right? Origins was filled with Easter eggs, gameplay, weaponry, atmosphere, and to me is yet to be matched by any Zombies map to date. I mean, what other map has giant robots roaming around the world, roaming around World War I? I mean, just like it was nothing. It's often called the best Zombies map ever released. I adore it, but I think there's a handful that are better. At number 4, Derising Drop, Black Ops 3. Giant snowy castle. Amazing sight to behold. It played good. Size-wise, it was huge. Probably one of the biggest Zombies maps in history, but it wasn't a problem. It progressed well. It played well. I mean, it took all the best elements of the previous Black Ops 2 and 3 maps and had a bunch of musical Easter eggs, which was a nice touch and great motivation to keep searching for clues. Derising Drop was great, and while number 4 may be a bit of a stretch, I think it's deserving. At number 3 today, Mob of the Dead, Black Ops 2. Now, following the poor reception of the first few Black Ops 2 Zombies maps, Treyarch went back to the drawing board, came up with Mob of the Dead, delivered one of the best maps we've ever seen. You're in Alcatraz. You had to figure out how to escape without getting ripped apart by zombies in the process, all with the great cast of characters. The amazing weapons, tons of hidden secrets, some really extremely memorable boss fights. Mob of the Dead was amazing. Easily top 3. I mean, can you guess the last 2? If you know your Zombies history and you've watched both videos, you probably already know where we're going. At number 2, Derising, World at War. Old school. Final map from World at War, probably the most iconic from that game, even more than Nok. I mean, let's be real. The map is set in a secret regime facility in Germany. You have to manage your defenses, go up against the undead, run around, try to figure out how to get out of there, stop the evil mastermind behind it all. It was a fantastic conclusion to World at War's storyline, while also being a great stepping stone to more complicated styles of Black Ops 1 and beyond. It was simple, but it had a lot of stuff for you to do and keep an eye on. You don't get overwhelmed, but there was a whole laundry list of Easter eggs to go hunting for. Amazing map, and it was close between this one and number 1. But at number 1 today, to me, the best Zombies map of all time, Kino in Black Ops 1. To me, it's as good as it gets. It was originally supposed to be in World at War, but it was cut due to time constraints. Thankfully, Treyarch was able to finish it up, polish it up, and release it with Black Ops because it was good. Really good. So many iconic weapons. The layout is a perfect blend of simple and complex, and the enemies were all unique and fun to fight. Plus, Kino had some of the best music in any COD Zombies map ever, which made it even more addicting to play through and grind over and over. Call me old school, but I think Kino is the absolute best Zombies map ever released, and I could play it a million times without ever getting bored. And there you have it, my friends. A trip from 50 to 1. I know we're not all going to agree, but let me know what you think. I'll see you soon.